This week from GNC Week in Review, powered by GeekNewsCentral.com. It is a special GNC Week in Review, as we're going to give a special early preview of our live coverage of CES 2022 from Las Vegas. My name is Kirk Corliss.
And I'm Scott Ertz.
And this is episode 99 of the GNC Week in Review podcast, proud partner of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode. We are live at gncweekly.com/live, so please be sure to say hello in chat or comment. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to the GNC WIR channel on YouTube. If you missed live video, that's okay. You can always catch the replay later. If you are a new listener, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast, where you can find in the right-hand side column at gncweekly.com, be it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. If you have a comment, be it on social media or email, and those links can be found at gncweekly.com/connect. So we were off for a few weeks. And everything's been crazy between mine and Scott's schedules, and things been working and doing a lot of different things.
Very true.
So this week's episode is a special episode. It's our last episode of the year. So we decided to forego the tech news of the week because it was really, really light, very, very, very light when I was working on it. So we decided that CES 2022 is less than 2 weeks away. Actually,
don't say things like that. You're gonna make my stomach hurt.
Okay. Coming soon. That's how about that.
Yeah.
So for this week's episode, our last episode of the year, we have a special guest. We have Christopher Jordan from the Talking the Sounds podcast, who's also hopefully soon to be part of the Tech Podcast Network. So Chris, welcome.
We've been teasing you with that for years, though.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been a hot minute.
Okay, here's the thing. Todd, I don't know if you're listening. I don't have access to that part of the Tech Podcast website to approve him as a member.
And I can do everything else. Keep applying.
I can do everything else, Todd. Give me access to that, and I'll take care of it.
Too funny. Too funny. Well, thank you so much for having me here, guys. It was great to receive the invitation from y'all. Always fun.
So tell us a little bit about the podcast and how you go about with it and things of that nature.
Sure thing. Talking Sound has been around for, God, I guess that was my first show. I guess that's going on 7 years now. And it talks to creators, talks to people in the AV industry about latest, greatest technology, new things coming out, that kind of stuff, what the applications are out in the field. That kind of thing. And then, of course, I have the Curious Realm as well.
I had the pleasure of being a guest on your show, at least on that show, at least once.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one, I think twice now.
Yeah. You've been on what was Dudes and Beer and what is now Curious Realm. We just went through a big rebrand with that. So
I love that name, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I've heard that from quite a few people. So it's been nice and refreshing to get some great feedback from folks on it.
Yeah, I think it's more representative of what the show became.
Yes.
I know it's not how you started, but it's certainly more representative of what the show became over time.
Oh, absolutely. It's much more representative of what the conversations we have, the guests we have on now, stuff like that. When it started, it was very much organically just this around a table with some beer, talking about the same kind of topics, but once I hit the road and really started doing the road work that I did, like 35, 40 weeks a year, it was like, man, it's a little bit tough to call into the studio every week when the studio doesn't necessarily have Wi-Fi. So running shows off cellular hotspots and stuff like that for years became the way it was done until it was like, I just got to go with just having a guest on, guys. This is getting too much. So. Yeah. It's been interesting.
I have enjoyed being on the show. I enjoy listening to the show. Your transitional episode was fascinating. You literally set yourself on fire.
I did. I literally put myself in a fireproof suit and set myself ablaze for my podcast. So that is my challenge to all podcasters out there. Is set yourself on fire for your show at least once if you haven't done it.
You know, it's the weirdest TikTok challenge ever.
That's right. That's right.
And you're also the winner of the podcast awards as well.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, for news and politics. So it was it's been a great final year for that show, and really glad to step into new realms. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
And we were happy to leverage our audiences in your direction.
Always helpful.
You know, and for those who may not know, that's kind of what the Tech Podcast Network is. We're not a traditional network per se, right? Nobody owns our shows but us. Right. We produce our own stuff, but the idea is we're more of like a collective. We work together. We try to help each other out. This episode right here is literally representative of 3 different TPN shows. Yeah, because Kirk, you started GNC Week in Review alone.
Right.
I've got F5 Live. Chris has got Talking Sound. This is what TPN is really all about. Is being able to come together and do bigger things than any one of us could do on our own, which I think leads us into tonight's primary topic pretty well.
Right.
Because the big thing that we do together is CES.
Yes, and we would, and also not like other tech sites like CNET and TechCrunch. We basically look out for interesting things that the audience will enjoy, and we have their own personal take on things. Yeah. So we're not commercially endeavored. We don't have like commercial or sponsors, what have you. We have our own unique flair, our unique take on things. And I always tell people that this is my 3rd CES this year, and Chris, this is your 2nd, right?
Third physical.
Third physical.
Fourth, right. It's your 4th CES, 3rd physical, because elephant in the room, CES 2021.
It was an interesting one, and as I said numerous times during that broadcast, like you couldn't ask for a more CES way to do CES than to force everybody to come in digitally, but. Man, it is one of those, like, I work in the live events industry. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those trade show floor shows where, man, if you're set up on the right corner, like your universal remote will sell out to Amazon. They'll be like, can we get Amazon printed on that? Cool. We'll be in touch. Yeah. Absolutely. And you're set, Yeah. So yeah, there are literal businesses that are made out of CES. It's amazing.
Largest trade show of any type on the planet.
Yep.
On a normal year, this year is going to be a little different because not everybody's in person. It's a hybrid approach this year. Right. But 2020, I think 187,000 attendees was the number I heard.
Yeah.
We're up to 2,100 exhibitors this year.
Right. Just announced a couple days ago.
We're low, but not by that much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty impressive. And I don't know if you noticed, I saw a Microsoft logo.
Yep.
Microsoft has not exhibited at CES in like 8 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they've got to do something right now to kind of zazz up the launch of 11. Because they really did nothing about that.
Yeah.
Like I'm a pretty hardcore Windows user, and I don't even think I got an email about like, hey, 11, your 11 update's coming up, like nothing.
I did my update. And speaking of updates, when we're
you're brave. How's that working out for you? Is it good?
It's been working out so far, knock on wood, but
I've got it on one machine.
All right.
But I think what day was it, Scott? Was it the first day or second day where it asked me for an update? And I think the day where everyone's computer problems, I think it was.
Yeah, that was
day 2 or 3?
That was day 2, right, Chris?
Oh,
yeah.
Where we had the solar flare.
Yep.
And everybody joked. Everybody laughed at me when I said that. And you went and proved within about 2 hours that there had been a solar flare, and that's exactly what was happening.
That's exactly what I do, is find those random articles.
Because Todd had an episode that morning
Yep.
that went sideways on him.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't get on the internet for a while, and maybe one of our keyboard, like one of the surfaces wasn't turning on, and 3 minutes before we went live, it all came back as if it was taunting me. But
and you told me not to do the update because you said don't. Your exact words were don't tempt fate. Don't do it. And I didn't. I had
today is already falling apart. Don't tempt fate.
Right. Yeah. Never update on a show day.
No, definitely not. This one has complained to me twice so far. And I know if you're watching, it looks like I'm pointing at a Christmas tree.
Getting a little lippy, tree.
but my show laptop over here has asked me twice so far.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I got 2 shows today. Absolutely not.
Yeah. Now, granted, I did some updates in the last couple days, but I haven't pushed the Windows 11 yet.
No, I haven't done it in here. Nothing in this room has done it yet. Some of the stuff out in the office has, but nothing in here.
I've heard good things. I've heard great reports from technicians out in the field that they're enjoying the platform. That they, as opposed to a lot of people,
hate the start menu, Microsoft.
I heard that also. That like the functionality of the start menu is just flushed down the commode.
So there's an update on my dev build Windows 11 machine. There's an update coming that at least like. The biggest complaint was you've got your recommended files and your apps, 2 rows of each. And if you turn off the recommended files, it doesn't give you any more space for your apps. It just gives you basically an ad saying, hey, you can turn this back on if you want, with a link to turn it back on. And so the update now gives you the ability to do 1 and 3, 2 and 2, 3 and 1, 4 and 0. So at least that's better. Yeah. It's still not great, but it's better.
It's been okay for me. I'm not really through. I'm with Scott. I'm not thrilled with the start menu. It's not that great, but
thank God for StarDock giving me my Windows 10 start screen back.
There you go. But I think with our coverage, I think we set the bar because again, a lot of other tech sites, CNET, what have you, have their own coverage. But I think we had the most diverse mix of guests that came out. And
I think part of what happens is we each invite people, right? It's not just our producer. It's not just Michelle who's sending out the invites. I'm sending them, and Kirk's sending them, and Chris is sending them, and Todd's sending them, and Don Bain is sending them, and Marlo's sending them. And we each are signed up when we create our account. You get to choose 10 categories out of about 40. I guarantee mine are different than Kirk's.
Yeah.
And I guarantee, because Chris is weird, I guarantee his are different than mine.
Oh, yeah.
So the pitches that all of us are getting are all so different. And the things that we get excited about are going to be very different. The best example I have is, it was years ago when we were still in the North Hall. There's a company called Blue that makes inexpensive but high quality smartphones. And Marlo, I think it was his first CES with us. Marlo and Alice had done an interview at Blue, and I had done an interview at Blue, and we didn't check with each other. But one of the guys who used to be part of the team, who thankfully is not anymore, this isn't TPN coverage branded. I don't have to be nice right now.
There you go.
Oh, not part of the coverage anymore. He says, well, aren't you afraid that you wasted time, that it's 2 of the same interview? And I said, absolutely guaranteed not. I looked over at Marlo. I said, hey, bud, did you talk to Blue about the Windows phones? He says, no, we talked about Android. I said, great. No overlap.
Yeah. Totally different interests.
Yeah. So we each spent 10 minutes on camera with the exact same company in the exact same booth, about 2.5 hours apart. And we did not cover any of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that makes our coverage so interesting, is we each get to attack our own weird things and really like dive into the strangeness that is our own interests. Danielle, who's been one of our longest running hosts for the live show now, she on her first ever interview, she interviewed Gibson. She said, "What should I ask?" I said, "What do you want to know?" "What?" Ask the questions that you personally want answers to, because there's no way you're the only one that wants an answer to that question.
Right.
And that way, if I interview the exact same person, we could both sit down with Aljon and we can both interview him. And I guarantee the conversations will be different, because I am not going to ask, well, what's the best guitar for a beginner?
Yeah.
Because I talked to Aljon about this microphone sitting here in front of me.
Yeah.
Quite literally. I talked to him about this mic, and she talked to him about which guitar is the best for a beginner.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, the one thing that I love about CES is not only the coverage, but just the wide array of stuff that is out there. I mean, everything, like the article that I sent you guys the other day, like, hey man, look at this crazy talking robot. Like that would be epically awesome to have on. Like, yeah, they're premiering Android technology and stuff like that over there. So, and when you start thinking about that in terms of a consumer product, when you start looking at, the trend of them starting to use robotics and AI in elderly facilities, elderly care, stuff like that as companion, almost like companion animals in the same right.
Yeah, I think we had one of those
interesting
at
stuff.
CES this year at 21.
Yeah. Well, just really interesting concepts.
Well, for me, every year, because again, when I've gone over the past several years, I see things for the very first time. It's brand new to me. But I love, and for what folks that are watching, please make sure to tune into the coverage, and we're going to have a lot of great stuff and coverage and content, is Eureka Park. And Eureka Park is things that I've gone there, and I was like, I'm amazed of like it's spread. And now I don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen at this year or 2022, how limited it's going to be, or it's going to be packed or not. But Eureka Park has things, again, I always say from...
I'm going to grab something real quick. Keep talking.
All right, go for it. Okay. I can't... there's things from one end spectrum to the other, and there's different countries, France, Japan.
Yep.
France has a huge pavilion, and they have things that if you've never, ever seen before, and I always kind of equate Eureka Park to Shark Tank. Because they're trying to get investors to buy into their product or services. That's how we always come back to with Benji, like with Brady Cabral. He started out with something so there it goes.
There it is.
It's the thing I want to get. I knew where this was going.
Right. I knew, good segue. But it's like he had a prototype with something. Was a
wooden prototype.
And look where he made a deal with Kevin O'Leary, and he's like in a multi-millionaire. And I was mentioning on the when we were there 2020 that he was like so genuine and humble, and he was on CNBC.
I love Robbie.
And when he came out, if you ever saw the interview on CNBC, the CEO of Hampton, Kim Kelly, came on set, handed him a check. I think it was for like $100,000. I think it was, and he was moved by that. And to this day, I just, when I think about Eureka Park, I think of him. He is Eureka Park in every sense of the word.
Absolutely.
The
fact that in the time that I've been doing Eureka Park, I have watched Robbie literally go from a wooden, non-working prototype to this thing, which is unrelated in almost every way, except for the fact that there's a fingerprint reader up top here. Other than that, this is completely unrelated to the thing that he started with. And yet this is on my front door at home.
Nice.
He made his little padlock. He's now made a small version, which, by the way,
TSA lock.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's TSA compatible. It is available in lots of places right now. For the traveler in your life, best Christmas present you can give.
Yeah.
And then He's got the 2 sizes of bike locks now. He's got the front door deadbolt, all under the Benji Lock name, and I cannot wait to see what crazy thing he brings us this year. Because they never stop.
Yeah.
Between him and Kim Kelly, they literally never stop. I can't wait to see what crazy thing he brings us this year.
Yeah. I'm looking for. That's the one thing that I'm looking forward to is Eureka Park, because I cannot wait to visit it, because I was like, when I first went there in 2018, my jaw hit the floor, and it was like, there's people coming and people were, when Scott, Todd and I and the other cameraman came with us to walk around the floor, there were people coming to us wanting to have some attention, some media attention, because a lot of for those who don't know, there's CNN, all the major news outlets are out there. They will not. They don't go down to Eureka Park. They'll go upstate. They'll go to LBCC.
Yeah,
they'll be all spread out over there. But at Eureka Park, there is press, but not as many. And they're looking for like TPN to feature them. Yeah, and then they can promote themselves on their own website, or get on, hopefully, on Shark Tank. And I believe there was a few that were on from Shark Tank in 2018, and they got so much exposure just from our coverage. Yeah. And that's where it's at. A lot of the major networks are not even going to even see them at all. Yeah. So I think
it's such a shame, because I mean, to put it into perspective, TPN loves Eureka Park so much that we have perched our studio atop of Eureka Park. We used to be, for longtime viewers, we used to be over in the North Hall. We were in the South Hall at one point in a booth. And then they moved us over to North Hall under the escalator, which was fantastic. I loved that location because there was motion behind us.
I was going to say,
constant stuff.
You got some good foot traffic, all that kind of good stuff.
But we were in the hallway of North Hall. We weren't in the actual convention center, which meant we didn't have any security. So we had to pay for security. We had to pay for security. So Todd was paying for a security guard overnight, every night. It was bonkers. And then at some point they offered us the Sands, which is now the Venetian. Which is going to take me some time to get used to saying the Venetian Expo instead of the Sands Expo.
Same.
But they offered us the Sands, and they offered us our own security, guaranteed internet, power, all in place when we got there. Now, they started us in one of the caves downstairs,
closet,
but we talked ourselves into. I talked us into one of the towers so that we could overlook the floor again, and we literally overlook the Sands, which is where Eureka Park is. For those who don't know, for anybody who's been to CES, the room where they have the big exhibit of all the winners of the Innovation Award. And then the media lunch is like around the corner in the back in that small little ballroom.
I think so.
That is the room that used to be Eureka Park.
Wow.
There were, my first year, I think there were 48 companies in Eureka Park. And now it's the entire downstairs of the Venetian Expo.
Yeah, I want to say there were 4,800 booths downstairs at the first one that I attended.
It's crazy.
A few years ago. Yeah. And there's so much exciting technology. Like Kirk was saying, I mean, we had the that year we had the BitLock router come through, the crypto router.
Yeah, the crypto router.
That one was one that unfortunately I don't think they met their funding mark to get things moving, sadly. But
I do think it did hit the market.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I think so.
So man, I want one of those. Because those were epic, man. To be able to utilize blockchain in your router that's just incredible.
Yeah, in a totally different kind of a way than than what people normally think. Tonight on F5 Live, we're going to be talking about NFTs, which are another blockchain thing that confuse and annoy people. And that's literally the topic. But yeah, it's
Well, one of the items that I was intrigued. I was about to, me and Todd were about to purchase one was I can't remember, protectthepackage.com.
Yeah.
And I don't think they met. I don't think they hit funding, or they didn't put anything up on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, because I've been checking for the past several months, and I was intrigued. I said flat out on air. I said when I was TDing that morning, I was willing to purchase one because I had package stolen last Christmas from my house.
Yep.
And
I think I lost one about a month ago. Okay.
And some of the products that come on air, it's like a lot of us as hosts and crew are interested in. We had so many people like literally jumping at some of these products that are being offered that we will buy like literally ourselves. Mm-hmm. So to have them featured on air, and it was a lot of great feedback from the comments from the audience was tremendous. So that's where I was really impressed despite the technical difficulties and everything like that. But again, with Eureka Park though, the one I sent the email invite was Nino, that perfume from your smartphone that you interviewed. And that was like a great. I mean, I personally wouldn't, wear it, but I was like, but there's a lot of people that would.
Sure.
And they sent an email, and I sent the the link to them. So hopefully they'll get back to us. And
this year, we'll have a conversation off air.
Okay.
I was expecting that to come.
Okay. All right. I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah. But because I mean, there are so many products. I mean, there's not only personal care products, stuff like that, but there was the mini bar, like it was like the Nespresso for
two
cocktails.
Of them. So there's two of them.
Yep.
One of them was on CES 2020, which was the Keurig, the DrinkWorks.
That's the one. Yeah.
Now I don't think they were selling them at CES. I don't think they had paid.
No. They were giving like a pre-purchase discount. I believe it was, where it was like you purchased it and you had it on hold, and they would send it to you as soon as they hit market.
And you did it on the website.
Yeah,
you didn't actually buy it there, which is a big deal because you have to actually pay. Most people don't know you're not actually allowed to vend at CES. You have to pay like an exorbitant amount of money to be able to vend from the show floor. So they weren't selling there, but I know of at least 4 of them that went to our crew.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Danielle, Michelle, Marlo,
Todd, and Marlo.
Yep.
Yeah. I looked at one for a little while, and even this last year, I was looking at there was a tea manufacturer that had like some herbal teas and stuff like that I was really into.
I think we had them on the show. We had one of them on the show either this year or last year.
Oh wow. Yeah.
You did the interview.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like I talked to them about getting product. Like we went back and forth for a while, and then I forget what the international shipping ended up being for it.
Oh, gotcha.
Because they were based out of like Korea or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it was coming from. But it was like the samples that they sent were phenomenal. Amazing stuff. So even
that's the thing. We never know what kind of weird pitches we're gonna get.
No.
Real quick. I'm gonna pull up. I'm pulling up CES 2020 here. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna look. Let's see. We have got LiDAR sensors for autonomous vehicles. Mm-hmm. We have Nuheara, which was a hearing aid company. Mm-hmm. We have The Box, which is reusable shipping packaging. There's DrinkWorks. Minnow, which is to track your TV streaming.
Yep.
Let's see. Lovo Studio, which by the way is a fantastic product. I can officially confirm that. That was the AI voice thing that you could type something in and it would speak it and it sounded like a person, and they could even clone a person's voice.
Wow.
I know I've announced it. Part of the Plug Hits Live update is that you'll actually be able to listen to all of the articles.
Oh, nice.
And we're using Lovo as the base for it.
You know, I was thinking about doing that for an intro to our episode, our podcast, but
we can use Lovo for it.
Okay.
Let's see. Sure Feed, a microchip pet feeder. Monster Products.
Mm-hmm.
So these lights behind me. Occupancy automation from RoomMe, a flexible lithium battery. Snap, the phone grip, which I have for my previous phone. Benji Lock, which we talked about. Cyberlink's AI facial recognition system. The GAN chargers, before anybody knew what they were. The Ebb sleep thing that you were all stoked about, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a
Wonder
smart
Painter.
sock. Yep, Wonder Painter. A
Wonder
smart
Painter
sock.
was cool.
I mean, what?
Yeah.
And that's just some of the things that, as I'm scrolling, stood out as distinctly unique.
And I actively got an Octobo,
right,
for my kid. And to this day, he's 4.5 now. It's been like 2.5 years since he got that thing, and to this day, he'll spend days on end with it.
Oh, that's cool.
Going through and doing the letter adventures and stuff like that. Like, he loves his Octobo. You know, it's great.
Do you want to add? Do you want to add another? Because you know what I'm going to go with.
I have no idea where we're headed. Oh, are we going to talk about embarrassing Marlo?
Laura DiCarlo.
One of my all-time favorite things.
That was the best. So for those who don't know the interview, go back the 2020 show where
you're not going to find it on my site.
No,
I couldn't publish it.
Oh, okay. But
you'll find it on techpodcast.com though.
Okay, good. So basically, Marlo nor his on-air partner did not know that they're going to be coming on, and
they had access to the rundown. They didn't look. This is on you, Marlo.
So basically, the engineer was talking about the product, and about maybe quarter in, there's a little bit of giggles, and I was TDing that morning. I was trying to contain my giggles, and the whole interview, like quarter going into it, it was just basically, you know, Marlo turned like 5 shades of red, and it was the most incredible interview,
because at first she didn't explain exactly what they did. She's just talking about the product.
Right.
And then she puts it on the table. And Marlo looks at it and looks back at her and realizes what has happened. And he turns almost as red as my shirt. He turned into a tomato. And then she turns it on. And it starts doing this on the table. I thought Marlo was going to lose it. Yeah. I'm standing next to his wife off camera. And we were laughing so hard we had to go downstairs. Because if we got any more obvious, they would have heard it on air.
Yeah.
So we had to go downstairs. Because we're laughing at Marlo. Because I knew what was coming. I scheduled it. I knew what he was up against.
Yeah.
And he could have looked at the rundown.
Yeah. Until later on, the
website.
Until later on, when his on-air partner asked her about her what does she do or position him. You said, I'm the senior VP of engineering. And then Marta goes, we haven't bothered to take a look at our show notes. And he started to crack up at that point. See, me as TD, my microphone was off. And I'm trying so hard, right? And I was like keeping an eye on the monitors and keeping an eye on switching. And I'm looking like literally left because we have two monitors at the board. And I'm looking at the monitors, and to the right, I see Scott and his wife and Alice on the right hand corner. They're cracking up, hysterically laughing, and I'm like, I was so dying. And
there were tears. There were tears in my eyes. I was laughing so hard because of the color that Marlo turned.
Yeah.
Oh, I said that was one of the top best interviews. I mean, there were so many interviews that went on, and there's a whole bunch, but that one, top 3, because that was the best. That was the best day. That was the best day ever. And he handled it like a trooper, and I give him a lot of credit. But
we harass him about it all the time,
and we will this year too. Coming up.
I occasionally will text him. I'll occasionally text him screenshots.
That's just good form,
right? How can you not?
I mean, he handled it like a champ, and so
I don't know that you're allowed to say it that way. I think you have to be more specific.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
Aww.
Yeah.
He handled the interview like a champ.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, not Octobo?
Not the product.
Not the product, no. No, but that was the best for me.
So I tend to not invite companies like that on the show. Todd never had those rules, and I have more than once been stuck being the one to do the interview. We had the
Naughty America.
The first year we were in the closet, he scheduled Naughty America during a Plug Hits Live time block, which meant on air was either going to be myself, Danielle, or Marissa.
And Jacob, who was 18 years old.
Well, you have to be there, but
right.
Yeah, but Jacob didn't do live segments.
Right.
It was me, Danny, and Marissa. And I'm like, well, I can't let either one of them do it, because Marissa is going to turn bright red and forget the English language. Danny is going to giggle like an 8-year-old in health class. So it has to be me. And we did 2 of them that year. One of them was in a Plug Hits Live time block, and I don't remember the other one. It was your first year, Kirk, because it was you and Todd and somebody who was related to Todd. I think.
His Colton. That's his second cousin, I believe.
Yeah. So Colton's like, you got to know what just happened. I'm like, oh, tell me Todd didn't get into like a fist fight with somebody. It's like, no, but he did just have a conversation about a marital aid. Oh God.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yep.
I'm like, oh, good. Well, you know what's in my block? VR porn.
Yeah.
And I remember when Danny came in, because I was about to get up, because Todd and I were going to, and Colton go out on the floor, and Danny was sitting next to me, and we were talking about the next block, and she's like, when we were talking about it, Danny immediately giggled and said, I'm like, no. And Jacob said, don't do it. And we left. And that's when we left for going out on the floor. So yeah, it was, and Scott like looked at the sheet, turned to the guy, and he said, yep, that's the guy. That's what we're talking about today. And it was the most,
I had warned our viewers at the top of the show, at the top of my segment, because obviously our site hosts a series called First Looks that has viewers that could be in elementary school.
Yeah.
So I tend to give warnings when a product is going to be outside of our proper viewership.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I did.
Yeah.
Always wise.
Yeah, that was the best stuff. But that, and being in that, as you say, Scott, closet, it's a tight fit, because when we were in there, it's like, basically, there's a small table in the front. There's a table for the on the right hand side for the audio board, and I think another table, I believe, no, there's another small table for everything else, and then on the left hand side was where I was producing and doing the Chiron. One computer and a small little space, and it's tight. You can get like 4 people in easily. You have more than 4, as Todd says, now you have a party.
Yeah.
It is a really tight fit. So when we got upstairs, I mean, it's like, when it was amazing, all that space, and to have we still have the room downstairs, but that, being in that spot, in that area, it was so cumbersome, and I was not. If you're hurting walking around the show floor, you're definitely be hurting when you're sitting in a small cramped room.
Yeah. It it's interesting building those things, because they're incredibly sturdy for what they are, but there is not a lot between the walls or anything like that.
Yeah, that was another one of our problems when we were in the cave. Is that well, because so there's a reason why I call it that, and it's from the year that you weren't there, Kirk.
Okay.
You might remember the year that you were, that it was about 185 degrees in that room.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's because of the horrible lighting that they put in there.
Yeah.
And so Todd and I realized that it was the light bulbs that were creating the heat the second year. And so we unplugged them and took all the bulbs out, so that they couldn't plug them back in and turn them back on. And so all we had was the glow from the computer monitors and the 2 stage lights that we had on the desk. That was the only light in that room. So we started to call it the cave, because it was dark and weird, but it stayed under 100 degrees.
Oh yeah.
Which it did not that first year.
No, it's not. And if you close the door,
you'd die.
Yeah, you're sweating. I think I sweated the whole time when I was in there, and each time that I had to get out, when we had to go out for out the floor doing interviews, I was sweating like a pig.
I brought an extra shirt when I had to do live segments.
Yeah, so it was definitely better. Now I'm happy that we're up and out and room to breathe.
Yeah. So one of the problems that we had, depending on the year, was our neighbors, right? You don't know who your neighbor is going to be. There are 3 of these things side by side. Mm-hmm. And before we got the platform, they used to put us in the center. And so who's going to be next to you? What kind of noises are they going to make while you're on air? There's no way of knowing. Mm-hmm. So that was less than ideal. So fortunately, now that we're upstairs, any noises that happen around us are all kind of part of the background noise that is CES, which is perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
But there were some noises in the past that came from the rooms next to us. We're like, oh, I wonder what's happening in there. No, I don't. Never mind. I don't wonder what's happening in there.
Well, yeah, because I mean, people rent them out for green rooms, for after parties, all kinds of stuff.
So CNBC had your first one was 2018, right, Kirk?
Yep, right.
So 2019, CNBC had the one, because we were in the center. They had the one to the right of us. And I think there was a like an actual tech publication like us, that does more writing stuff. The Verge or somebody like that, who was on the other side. And so CNBC literally just used it to store gear, which was perfect. And The Verge or whoever was next to us on the other side. I don't think it was them, but let's say it was. Whoever was on the other side just used it for writing. So they'd go talk to people out on the floor, and then their writers would come back to that room and type and publish, and then go back out to the floor.
Yeah.
So that year was no problem, but 18, there was noise coming from the one that became CNBC the next year. Ooh.
No, actually 2018, Shark Tank had the third room on the right.
Then I have it backwards.
Yeah.
So CNBC was on the right in 2018 and not in 2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
they had
2018 was quiet and 2019 was not.
Yeah, they had Shark Tank was in the last one, and literally they shot. I think that's when Colton did that interview. Because I remember seeing a video afterwards, and he told me afterwards that the woman was standing in front of the door, and the Shark Tank camera crew was like about maybe 20 feet, literally 20 feet away, and there was people. There was like they were doing an intro, I believe, with someone that was doing a product or an entrepreneur.
It was with O'Leary because they were about to do an interview with Robbie upstairs.
Exactly. Yes. So, and they're walking, and I'm like, OMG.
Right.
If these two people were to combined. But yeah, that was So let's go to your favorite time, your favorite experience for CES. Chris, I'll yield to you. What's your favorite experience?
It seems really, really simple, but as someone who uses, once again, a lot of this stuff out in the field, I can honestly say my Troy Technology clicker, meeting those folks at their booth a couple of years ago, like the more people I have shown this thing to on site, the more jaw drops I get. Literally, where they're like, wow, we have been trying to find a way to do that in a mobile platform for years.
Yeah.
And the fact that this thing is out there, like you can go John Madden on a document while you're up on screen and circle stuff and underline it and then get rid of it and click to the next slide and all kinds of things. So that has been one of my big ones where it was like, I see a lot of tech, I read a lot of tech, but as far as things that are like full on functional and a solution to an issue in my industry, this was one of them that was like, wow, that's a game changer right there. Just as far as a something as simple as a presentation clicker, but it was really one of those like leveraging new technologies, like the whole thing. Most of them that you find like this size are pretty cheaply made. They've got like maybe a 50-foot range because they're Bluetooth,
and they're a glorified non cursor mouse.
Yeah, pretty much. Except you can use this thing like a cursor. If you hover your finger over a button, you can actively bring up your mouse cursor and use it. It's got like a 120-foot range,
right?
Because it's actually Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and that's the big thing. But like the cheap ones, all the other ones on the market are basically a non-cursor adjustable mouse. Yep. All you can do is left click and right click, essentially.
Pretty much. And maybe you've got a laser pointer.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, it was one of those that, like I said, it doesn't really seem like something huge. It's like $120 item,
but it's a real world thing.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't some, hey, look, here's, because we saw some cool stuff, man. Like, hey, flying taxis, all kinds of things, water from the desert. Like, you want to go out and be a moisture farmer like Luke Skywalker, you can do it now, folks. Right. And that's all amazing and great, like huge on a large scale piece of technology, but to see something like that was like, wow, this is right there. And it is truly a game changer in a live field. It was really, really cool. So that was one of my super simple, but totally aha moments as far as products go, stuff like that.
All right, Scott, what about you?
Well, I've got a larger catalog to pull from.
Yeah.
But for me, it was getting to, so a number of years ago, and to this day, I'm not allowed to talk about everything that I saw. Monster had 2 booths. Well, technically 3, because they had their monster car audio thing where they had decked out a car all with Knoll tuned, like personally Knoll tuned. But one of them was a closed box that you had to sign an NDA to go inside of.
Ooh.
And it was when they were talking with Swizz Beats, before they were talking about him becoming a part owner in the company. And so his picture was up inside, and there were some prototype conceptual products. One I'm literally still, it's like 6 years later, I'm still not allowed to say. But it was an attempt at a licensing, a particular licensing for the Monster Blaster. And so being invited into that, because it was invite only, being invited into that by Knoll himself, that was kind of a highlight. He wanted us to see what he was up to, and then he personally gave us a little tour around what they were working on, and pointed to this one particular thing and said, "You cannot say this to anybody outside this room. You can't even talk about this with the rest of your crew." I'm like,
That's hard for you.
It can be, because my whole job is to tell people about the things that I see.
Yeah.
And so to know that there's this one thing in particular that he could get in personal trouble for even having created a prototype of, sucks, you know.
Something so epic and so cool.
I know. But yeah, that experience, and you know, it, for me, a lot of it revolves around Monster, you know, getting to see the Jacksons perform live.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And by the time they actually took the stage, most of the people in the arena had left.
Not gonna lie, hanging with Flavor Flav at the Monster Party was pretty cool last time.
Yeah, at Gina's event.
That was pretty hip.
I forgot you were at that.
Yeah.
All right. So for mine,
what about you?
So for me, it's the twofer.
Falling off Samsung or Sony. Is that it?
That was one
highlight of CES.
Highlight of CES. So for those, I was. Well, I'll give you my paper in a second, but yeah. So
because now we've got to explain this.
Yeah. Okay. So I went to LBCC is a huge convention center, and I've never been there for the past.
Now 4 buildings.
Four. Yeah. West Hall.
Yep.
So I went to check out the Samsung City, and these booths are like, they're not small booths. We're talking like, it's like at least good. I don't know. I can't really can't compute the square footage, but Samsung has a huge display. You have LG, you have Canon. They have their presentations.
Canon's is huge.
Yeah, it is. I was like fascinated with all that. So I ventured over to Sony, and they were showing off their concept car. So I was taking pictures, and there's like a stage, but there's raised steps. So I went around to take a picture of this concept car for the blog. So I got up on the side. I was taking pictures, and then I turned and walked to my left. And these steps are like not raised, but they're like really small. I took 1 step, 2 step. About the 3rd step, I just felt air, and I fell smack down on a pavement. Going down, I scraped my leg, and it's been from like my knee to my right knee all down to my shin. People came rushing towards me. So one of the Sony people rushed over to me. Literally, this guy was like huge, really like picked me up, gear and all, and stood me up, and he asked me, "Am I okay?" and everything like that. And I was like, "I think I'm okay." But as I started to walk, I wasn't okay. So I had to. So I go into the Life, one of their, I guess, their medical offices, got bandaged up, and I said on Slack, or I think I said on Slack, I told Todd, I think he was on air at the time, what happened. So so I spent that Thursday night and into the last day in the hotel room, and yeah. So, and I also fell when we were with our virtual coverage. The one day, I can't remember what day it was, but I fell downstairs in my house, and I broke my toe.
Oh,
So my wife told me, had me promise no falling this year. So I'm making sure that wherever I go,
get you a rascal to cruise around in.
No.
So wherever I go,
what we need to do is I interviewed, I think in 2018, a company that has this vest that you can wear that turns into an airbag if you fall down or something.
Just get him sponsored.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just rent out the bag for sponsorship.
Yeah.
So I
walk around in it all day.
Go NASCAR on it. Just patches.
So I promised my wife that there's no falling. I'm making sure that I'm stepping. I'm making sure that where I'm at, at the tower, if I'm going to be up there or in the control room, which I'm going to be in the control room TD and in the morning, I'm making sure that I'm going to be walking carefully. So
right.
I promised my wife, and probably now to all listeners and viewers, that I'm not going to fall.
Yeah.
But the biggest one experience I had, the memorable one that I was able to take a part of, was at 2020 when we were voting for top picks, TPM picks for 2020 for CES, and my pick that I threw in was for Wonder Painter. And when he showed the inventor, showed like he had an iPad, but you take a picture from anything, any source, piece of paper, a what he had, drew like a horse, took a picture of it, and was able to have it animate in real time. And I was like, and he was showing off these demos, like taking a picture of a video game character or something off a video, and how it was able to interact with interactive games. And the way, I mean, I was so fascinated with that product. That was one of my great experiences. One of the great experiences I had.
Yeah, Wonder Painter was really, really cool technology.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, that was our top of the top.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah, and unanimously too.
Yep.
Yeah, you pitched it. So
yeah,
2 or 3 different people pitched it as possibly being their brand's top, and I went, well, that's too many people. It sounds like this is the top of the top, and everybody went, yes.
Yeah, I was so I was so honored and like being part of the team, the broadcast crew. It was like I had to because we see for those that are watching and listening, we see a lot of products. I mean, there is like products from, again, one spectrum to the other on various devices and services and what have you, and coming together as a group, deciding on what we think is the best one. And there were some great picks. I mean, Microvision, there was DrinkWorks.
Yep.
I think Chris's was one of your pick was for that was it Ebb or Ergonite, and
Marlowe's was Voice It.
Mm-hmm. And Danny was about the breath Lumen.
Yeah.
So just to be like this, so knowing that, that my pitch for best top pick, the best of the best was truly special.
Worked.
So
it was a good pitch. And so that's a great transition into what is it we're doing this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
So 2 possibilities on what's going to happen this year. One is that things are going to look exactly like they have for the last couple of years. Maybe. But what we're hoping is that that's not what's going to happen. We're trying to build a living room set this year. We have not announced this anywhere yet. We're trying to build a living room set. So everything will be a little more casual. We'll have like armchair type seating with a coffee table, the whole 9 yards. And we are planning on being in pairs for our hosts this year. In the past, a lot of hosts have gone solo, but we have a lot of on-air people this year, which I'm really excited about. So we're going to try and do pairs. My pairs have gone a little sideways on me because somebody I was hoping was going to come is not. So I don't know how Don's going to go, and I don't even know if the two of you know this yet. So I don't know who Don's pair is going to be right now, but Chris, I plan on pairing you up with Todd because the two of you are a ton of fun together.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Marlo and Danny are going to go together because when they accidentally paired up together at 2020, they were my favorite. Gold. They were my favorite pair.
Yeah, mine too.
And that, I mean, Marlo came over to our condo after CES, and we talked about and pitched around a show for the two of them because they enjoyed being a pair so much.
Nice.
And then Alante and I are likely to be a pair. Michelle currently plans on taking it at least a day and swapping in and doing on air. So that'll be a lot of fun. So now I just have to figure out who to put with Don. Some upgrades have happened to our behind the scenes technology. One of the things, and everybody who's on right now can understand this. We have a screen that shows at us to let us know who's on and who's coming next. And we had a counter in the top right corner, but it was real small and there was no real way of seeing really how far into it we were.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we'd go over our goal of 8 minutes. Now the background is going to get redder and redder and redder as you get into your time.
Nice.
So that you can see that you're past where you should be.
Yeah.
So that's great. Cameras are completely changed out. I'm looking into one of them right now. We have 6 Mevos that are coming with us. And we're going to run everything off the Mevos this year, which we're super excited about. They do power over Ethernet and data over Ethernet. So all we have to do is I've got a PoE switch over here.
Yep.
And we just have to run Ethernet to each of them and we're done.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So we're going to have our normal host shot, wide shot, guest shot. We're going to have one on our coffee table. I was just assuming that this is going to work. One on the coffee table to show a product shot. One over the edge off into the show floor as like a filler cam. And then one on the control room so that the control room can turn on and talk with us, which is something that we've not had the ability to do in the past, but we'd really like. So that's pretty cool. And then the 6th one is going to be a floor camera. So we're going to do some side stuff. We're going to go live from the show floor. And then
surrounding booths, that kind of stuff.
Just kind of Danny is going to take it with her out into the wild. So she could be at the convention center and go live on Instagram or whatever using this, which will be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
We will officially be live on the Plug Hits Live Twitch and YouTube channels. That's where we're going to live. If you are a member on the Plug Hits Live YouTube channel, you're going to get some benefits. There are going to be parts of the day where chat is going to be exclusive to you. And we'll talk about what that is in a minute. But the thing that's real cool, we've never done this before, and we're doing it this year for the first time. As floor interviews are conducted, we have a couple of people who are going to live down in the cave and are going to edit the videos as they happen and put them on YouTube. No clever headlines, no descriptions, just a company name at CES 2022. And those are going to be available only to our blue, yellow, and green shirt members. Yellow and green shirt members.
Yellow and green. Yep.
Over on YouTube. You're going to get those first. Everybody else, videos will be published 3 a day, every day until they're done. But if you're a member over on YouTube, you will get them as they're edited. So you're going to get huge video dumps all at once, in by the dozens at a time, which is, I think, really cool. You're going to get first access to this content before anybody else gets to see it except the editors. So that's new. The chatting capability that you're going to get, and this will apply to everybody, blue, yellow, and green, and subscribers over on Twitch as well. After the show, we've never done this either. After the show, somebody, every day it'll be different, somebody and a producer are going to just take one of the Mevos and wander off into the night. For about a half hour.
Yep.
The producer is going to have our little Surface Duo, and is just going to broadcast. And people who are subscribers on Twitch or members on YouTube will be able to ask questions. Will be able to direct us. Hey, what's that over there? Oh, well, let's go find out. Whoop, and off they go.
The crowd wants to go left.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. So it's going to be. So we're going to turn it to subscribers only chat on Twitch and members only chat on YouTube. Everybody will be able to watch, but only YouTube members and Twitch subscribers will be able to chat and give feedback and directions to whoever it is. So I'm looking forward to that. We've never done anything like that before. And
that is exciting.
Right?
Yep.
And it's kind of a way to experience the show floor without actually getting to be there.
Yeah. No, that's how I've done shows for forever, is going around and being able to just show floor it, and walk around and give people that in the ground experience, man, because that's what it's about.
Exactly.
And being able to explore.
And for our podcast, and I was going to say, for our channel, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be TDM, but I'll take one of the cameras, but also we're going to make sure we get as much content as out. We're going to do behind the scenes at the control room, behind the scenes of the studio. Mm-hmm. We're going to have so anything that comes up, you're going to see. And me personally, I'm leaving Saturday, New Year's Day. I'm leaving Saturday afternoon. Okay. So I'm going to be. So those who don't know, you're going to know now. So I'm going to be leaving Saturday. So I'm going to be posting videos day one from the time I leave to the time to get down to Vegas. I'll be posting videos as much as I can. I will be one of the producer or host, while producer following and doing behind the scenes. So you're going to get. So this year is going to be bigger and better. Yeah. Especially for our channel, for our podcast, we're going to get as much content out, bigger and more of it than it's going to be incredible. I cannot wait for it.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm super stoked about all of this. So our show comes down at 5 every day except for Saturday. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we will end at 5, but the show floor closes at 6. So that gives somebody with a camera about an hour to go wander around on the
before they literally kick you out.
They never kick us out. We have wristbands.
Yeah.
They literally never
wristband though.
Huh?
Watch it if you don't have one.
Oh, don't.
They will kick you out.
Absolutely, they will. The good news is though, we have access to the convention center all the time. Whenever we need to be in there, we can be, which is good because weird things happen, and sometimes we have to get in there at odd hours of the night. But so we are going. The current plan is the show is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It is my least favorite type of CES, which is one that goes over the weekend, but it is what it is. For our team, just a reminder, if there are companies that are owned by people of the Jewish faith, do not wait until the last day of the show because they will not be there.
Yes.
Do it in the first half. Anyway, it's such a pain. Anyway, so our plan is we will try and do our normal pre-show. It won't be Sunday because we don't have access to the convention center on Sunday. So our normal pre-show will be Monday night, or Monday afternoon for us. From the studio, we'll have, a little round table similar to what we did last year, what we've done in the past. Talk about what we're hoping to see. We're going to have a camera. The first thing we're going to do when we get there is we're going to set up a camera. and we're going to live stream the setup of the studio, which we've never done before.
Nice.
So that should be fun. We're gonna pop a Mevo on a tall tripod, and we're just gonna start there and let everybody watch us over on Twitch as we're building the studio, and hopefully people will be able to ask questions there as well. So that should be pretty cool. Then we'll do the Monday night show, and then is Monday night also unveiled, or is that Tuesday night?
It's Tuesday. Let me double check. Well, I'm gonna check right now.
I think it's Monday night.
Let me see. Hold on.
Because that's usually Sunday. It's usually the day before press day.
Yeah.
So Tuesday is press day, or they call it media day now.
It's Monday. You're right. It is Monday. Yep. It's Monday.
So we will go directly from our pre-show over to Mandalay Bay for Unveiled, where we will start doing floor interviews, and that's the stuff that we'll start publishing initially to our members over on YouTube. Tuesday is media day. I don't know who's going to participate over there and who isn't, and then we'll have some content coming from there. And then Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, we start.
Wow.
9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 3 are our 4 days. So
wow,
we got a lot coming. There's a lot of content. Super excited about it. And
right,
then we're going to
2 hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we're going to stream the shutdown as well. The last thing that'll come down is that 6th Mevo that is streaming the breakdown. First thing that'll go up is that 6th Mevo, and the last thing that'll come down is that 6th Mevo.
Nice.
So it should be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. We really want to do this bigger than the past.
Yep.
We started big. For those who don't know, we started our first live stream ever for TPN was at the NBC Universal booth. We had a beautiful setup because NBC built it.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, we've been doing our own thing. We were in a booth, which is where we started the idea of having the backdrop be the show floor. We put the actual booth, the table with our backs to the back of the booth, and we've just kept it that way ever since. So we were in a booth, and then we were under the stairs. So we amped up what we were doing. And then they put us in the closet, and then now we're up on the tower, and our goal is to, really kind of up it from there. We want to do this living room thing. We think it'll kind of set us apart from what everybody else is doing. So we're real stoked about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's going to be
exciting stuff.
It's going to be very exciting, and so definitely keep an eye on our Facebook page, Twitter page, and we will announce everything that's going on, post videos, and again, YouTube channel is going to have a lot of videos from day one to the last day. So
day -3.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I also want to plug as well is merch. And and I'm going to pull it up right now. Give me a sec.
Go merch, go.
Yeah. So we've
got a ton of interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm. So we have merch.
Yeah. Shirts and all kinds of stuff that has the TPN CES 2022 logo on it.
I like that.
Yeah. It came out real nice. If you go to plughits.live/CES/shop, it'll take you to here, or you can just go to plughitslive.threadless.com to see it. There's a bunch of cool stuff. There's shirts. There's masks. You can get masks with the logo on it. Oh, that's interesting. Can I get you to do me a favor?
Mm-hmm.
Can you go to mugs?
Oh, you got to get mugs.
Okay, apparently I made that one public. Okay.
Nice. Go Tumblr.
So our on-air people will have a different set of mugs. I wanted to make sure they were private. They were not intended to be public. I just wanted to make sure that I hadn't screwed up and made them public. They are an altered version, really weirdly scaled so that they would show up on camera.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have TPN. We're gonna have mugs with this logo on them. You can get masks and you can get shirts and I think hoodies and
great.
There's all kinds of stuff. It's a great way for you as the audience to help support us. There are others, and we will talk about those on air. Some of our partners. See, now you're showing. There you go. I was just saying, now you're showing some of the other stuff that I've got available. But yeah, it's a great way to help support our coverage. Obviously, this is not inexpensive for TPN. This costs that it all comes out of the pockets of the content creators. Each team pays for its own people, our own accommodations, everything. So it's not inexpensive to do this all in. I mean, it's not as expensive as it was when we had to have the security guard.
Yeah.
So, when Todd was paying like $18,000 a year to be able to do CES, but it's still not inexpensive.
No.
I mean, just the awards themselves are expensive.
Yeah. So definitely there's several ways. Definitely check out the shop. It's one way. It's win-win. You're supporting us and you get some great merch out of it.
Yeah.
Also there'll be a PayPal button as well. So anything small's help is great. Anything from small to great is very, very appreciative. And so definitely check it out. Yeah.
And of course we'll have some partners joining us for the event. Our big partner from last year, Privacy.
Nice.
I'm not gonna lie, I love them. Outside of anything that we get back from it, I use them all the time. I hit my maximum monthly allotment of how much I'm allowed to charge every month. Every month.
Nice.
So I love them. Did I set up the Tech Podcast link or is it only on Plug Hits Live? I don't know. But plughitslive.com/privacy will get you there. They'll give you $5 to try it for free. And the service is free. Honestly, it's crazy. I love it. And they get paid because they're part of the processing chain.
Yeah.
So they make their money there. And they don't have to charge you anything. So you're not the product. That's the important part.
That is the biggest part.
There's the whole thing. If it's free to you, you're the product. Incorrect.
That's right.
Because it's a payment processor, they make money in that part of the ecosystem. So you're not the product. Hooray! Free service that you're not the product on.
That's right.
Hard to miss. So anyway, we've got a lot of stuff booked already. Some interesting guests. Our friend Steve Winter, who was our last guest at CES 2021 this year. He's back and he's brought us like a dozen companies as he always does. Karen Thomas, who CES people will recognize as being the official keeper of the unofficial event calendar for CES. She is CES famous. She's brought us a couple of guests as well. If you're going to CES and you ever want to know all of the parties, Karen Thomas, she's the official keeper of the unofficial calendar. Any event that's happening at CES is on her unofficial calendar. Everybody reaches out to her and they're like, hey, can you put this on your calendar? Yes.
Yeah, I saw the calendar. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, you never know what's going on at CES. We got all kinds of stuff happening already. Cool.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, with that, Chris, thank you so much for
Thank you for having me, guys. Happy 100th.
Close to 100.
Almost.
Almost.
We'll be doing it coming
in January.
Yes.
In January. And so thank you so much for tuning in this week's episode, special episode of GNC Week in Review for Sunday, December 19th, 2021. We're going to be off for 3 weeks due to the holidays upcoming. And then we are off to CES in Las Vegas. So we'll be back, fingers crossed, January 14th for episode 100. There'll be a lot of change you'll see from a new logo that's premiering for CES. We'll have intro music and a lot more. As always, big thank you to all listeners and viewers of the podcast for this past year. We hope you stay on the ride as bigger and better things to come. In the meantime, be sure to check out the latest tech news and commentary from geeknewscentral.com. And be sure to tune in Mondays and Thursday evenings at geeknewscentral.com/live for the Geek News Central podcast. So be sure to subscribe, like, and subscribe to the GNCWR channel on YouTube, as there'll be a lot of behind-the-scenes videos we talked about from the show floor and a lot more from CES 2022. And be sure to tune in to F5 Live Reflection Technology with Scott and Abram Pilch tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It's at f5live.tv/join us. Or be sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app. If there's something you want to see or have us cover while we're at CES, head on over to gncweekly.com/connect, and you connect via email, Twitter, or Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Kirk Corliss. Scott is on Twitter, TTMABO.
I'm not going to let you stop. I'm not going to let you do it. I know what's coming next, and I have to stop you real quick.
Okay.
And of course, remember to check out Chris Jordan on his show, TalkingSoundShow.com.
Yep. Or podcast, either one.
Okay. And CuriousRealms.com.
CuriousRealm.com. That is correct.
Awesome.
Okay. Cool. Sorry. Totally disregarded that. I apologize.
No worries.
Had to make sure that we got your last plug in there, bud.
All right. All right.
Shameless.
Right. Shameless plug is always all the way. All right. Till the next episode of GNC Week in Review in 2022. Happy holidays. Have a happy, safe, and healthy 2022. In the meantime, so long.
Ciao.